Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I am so happy you are here, and today I'm very excited because it's a very special in-person New York episode. We're in an office building in New York City, and we're talking to a cast member of the Broadway hit Maybe Happy Ending. It is Christopher James Tamayo. Hi Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be on this.
We fit it right in between a two-show day.
Yes, yes we did.
Quite busy for everybody, as you can imagine. But again, so happy to have you here.
Thrilled.
We're talking about Maybe Happy Ending, which I just saw maybe an hour or two ago. So I'm really excited to just be talking about the show.
How exciting. Yeah.
So a little background about Chris. So a multi-instrumentalist and performer, Chris is making his Broadway debut with Maybe Happy Ending as they stand by for Gil and Oliver. He recently concluded his time with the North American tour of Les Mis, playing the role of, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Montparnasse.
Okay,
Montparnasse for the unversed, or the Les Mis fanatics. Montparnasse.
I'm unfortunately not Les Mis fanatic.
That's okay.
But also understudying Marius for 2 years. Chris is also a proud graduate of the University of Michigan's B.F.A. musical theater program.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Yes, go blue.
I guess Boston Conservatory is also blue, kind of, so. Sort of go blue. We also obtained a minor in musical theater composition. While not on stage, he can be found voice acting or producing music in his bedroom. So hey Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
How was hanging out backstage in the first show?
Oh, it was fantastic. I actually got a haircut today.
Really?
So yeah, so it was big haircut day. We're on like a 3-week rotation, but you know, the person who designs our wigs come and does our hair as well. And yeah, so we all the boys got haircuts today. So it was great.
Yeah, well, that sounds like I probably need to get a haircut too. Like, you know, something that all needs to be done.
Oh yeah.
So excited to be talking about Maybe Happy Ending.
Yeah, I almost want to interview you. Like, you're the one who just saw the show. Like...
No, we'll have plenty to talk about
Great.
Then. But it's super exciting because the show is just so fresh, so new, it's original, it's not based on anything.
Yeah.
It's so special, and like, I think it's like, I just want to put all my support and love into the show because I think it's so cool. And I keep saying so too many times, so that's good.
No.
But before we get into all of that, let's talk about you.
Yeah.
Just like kind of your journey. So like, do you want to talk about like your background, where you grew up, maybe like where you went to school, and just how you discovered theater and musical theater?
Absolutely. It's kind of like bouncing all over the place, but I was born in San Jose, California, and then my family moved to Manchester, New Hampshire, actually, and I lived there for 10 years, which is where I started like learning instrumental performance. So I think I picked up the guitar, my dad kind of taught me some stuff, and then I picked up the saxophone, and then I picked up the violin.
Oh my gosh.
I think in that order. And then when I was in middle school, I moved to Spokane, Washington, so we moved back to the West Coast. And it was there where I accidentally signed up for a musical theater course. Accidentally, because it was listed as chamber choir in the course catalog, but when we sat down on the first day of school, the teacher was like, yeah, so I had to call it that in the course catalog, but it's actually a musical theater course.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, and he's like, so you can transfer to actual choir or you can stay. Doesn't matter to me. Yeah. And I'm like, I was honestly too lazy to change my courses. So I stayed in the class, and I was obsessed with getting a 4.0 GPA. As many Asians are.
Yes.
And part of the requirements for getting a good grade in this class was auditioning for the spring musical.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were doing Funny Girl. So I had to like learn how to tap dance, but that was like all part of the class. We learned how to like make audition cuts, but like they had already made them for us. So it was like all very practical knowledge for me being a freshman.
I feel like that's like very preparational if it's not like a musical theater, like a theater high school.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of something you don't hear of too much.
Yeah.
But.
So, you know, I auditioned for Funny Girl. I got cast as Eddie Ryan.
Yes.
And I just haven't stopped doing it. Like, I've been stuck in it ever since.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of led me to do like some community theater, like some summer theater in the area, and then my mentor was like, you should consider doing this for a living. And I was like, I hadn't thought about that before, genuinely.
You're like, oh, that's
like,
a possibility?
Like, what do you mean? That's not computer science. Like,
yeah.
what do you mean?
It's not a doctor, engineer, lawyer,
yeah,
whatever.
pharmacy, like what? So yeah, I ended up auditioning for 4 schools, and I got into Michigan, and I,
4 schools.
That's not a lot, right?
That's surprising to me.
Well, because growing up in Spokane, like, at least in my high school, they were very, like, not gatekeepy is the word, but, like, we were kind of shielded from the outside theater world.
Okay,
like, it was very, like, our high school is, like, our environment, and we don't want you, like, going to, and, like, I went to a public high school, too, so they were, like, very...
Interesting.
they got their cards close to the vest.
Yeah.
So by the time I was auditioning for colleges, I had no idea what like theater was on a statewide level nor a national level.
Yeah.
So it was like a very, very jarring experience. But my audition experience at Michigan was like so amazing. Like, not only did we like sing through the stuff, but like they were very interested in getting to know me as a person.
Mm-hmm. That's important.
As a person first. Like they asked, like, what kind of music do you listen to? It's like, what's your vibe? And I was like, that's the first time anyone's ever asked me that.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting, like, I did my audition. I felt like pretty good about it. Not great about my dance audition because I'm famously like not a dancer.
And those dance calls were brutal for everyone.
Well, yeah, because I'd never
except for the
dancers, and I'd never taken a ballet class in my life at that point. So but I remember like sitting in an Applebee's that was attached to the Residence Inn with my dad, and I was like, Dad, if I don't get into any schools this year, I would reapply. Or I would re-audition for Michigan. Yeah. So, loved my time there. Then now I'm here.
Yeah. So. Can you talk about a little bit, just before we get into maybe happy ending, like with your B.F.A experience, like as someone who's in it right now and is kind of going through the whole, craziness of it all.
Yeah.
Like what is something that, like the most important thing that you think you took from it? Because I feel like I've been seeing so many people, Michigan alums actually, like talking about things they're learning, like on TikTok or something, and I'm like, that's so cool. Or like the different people they have to come in to talk to everyone. And so like just what's one thing that like sticks out?
It sounds a bit hokey or maybe cheesy, but like really owning yourself in the room and having a strong opinion about whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're presenting, whether you're just like presenting yourself or like a piece of like a song or a scene, like you want to have the strongest opinion possible.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, like, because you could go like fully in the wrong direction, but at least you've committed to that direction.
Yeah, it's better than not choosing something.
It's better than not choosing something because that kind of communicates that like, oh, I don't have an idea about this, therefore I don't have an idea about myself and how I can apply myself to this material. That was like something that was echoed time and time again in acting classes and singing classes. Like, have an opinion on what you're saying because you should, because you're an actor and that's your job. Even if it's like, don't be afraid of having the wrong opinion because if you give them a solid foundation to work with, whoever's auditioning you, they will see it, they will acknowledge it, and then the next step is, can they pivot?
Yes.
Can they pivot?
No, and even if that's maybe not what they were looking for, they know that you have enough to like go one way.
Yeah.
Or like
exactly.
Have the ability to then take it somewhere else maybe.
Right.
And just have the room to grow.
So true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. No, the B.F.A stuff, I remember auditioning for schools. That was crazy.
How many did you audition for?
I did, was it 12 or 14? I can't remember.
That still sounds like a healthy number.
Yeah, it was healthier than some people I knew who did like
and it's so
30.
expensive. It's so expensive.
The theater college route is very crazy.
It's very crazy.
We love it, but also it's it takes a toll.
It takes a toll, but it's great to pursue it while you're this age, while you're young. Because later on in life, when you have responsibilities and like family and people you're responsible for, like then you can't make that decision as easily. Like you definitely still could, but it's harder.
Yeah, and I feel like it does give a lot of like real world like applicable just things that you can use, like just the people skills and just like all those different things, like and being able to do lots of different things all the time. I mean, what we're doing now is like something else that is not in the like realm of just being a performer. It's like you can be a multi-hyphenate and do all those things, and like you said, like your music composition as well, and like doing all those different things is important. And then you're doing the show also with Darren and Helen, who also went to Michigan.
Who also went to Michigan. Go Blue. That's the last time I'm going to say it. That's the last time.
But like, and you went to school with Helen.
I did.
Right.
I did. And that, it's just so,
Were you in the same? You were in the same class.
Same class,
okay.
same exact class.
That's
we got there
incredible.
at the same time. I've seen her with red hair. I've seen I've seen the.
I've seen all the pictures. Yeah.
She's seen me too through like a long middle part phase during COVID. We all have different hair.
Yes.
During that time, but yeah, it's been crazy to see her.
Yeah.
Like,
and what does it feel like for you guys to be doing this together? Because I'm sure you said you've known each other for a while.
Yeah, it's so surreal. You know, you never like expect to be working with someone in such close proximity at such a high level, especially at such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I was fortunate enough on Les Mis to work with my best friend Mika, who I also went to college with. Fortunate enough to work with Helen now, so it's like the universe keeps putting us into alignment, and I'm just gonna keep taking it, you know, as they come.
Yeah,
because it's an amazing, stellar feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see, you know, people that you love and care about like succeeding along with you.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
I just think it's so cool that like there's so many Michigan people in the show. It's like I was so surprised.
And it also like it makes me feel more. Oh, Helen is a superstar and can do anything. But I remember telling her when I got the job, and then she was texting me. She was like, "Chris, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Like I feel like she's like I know I can do it."
So you booked it before her?
No, she booked it way
wait.
before.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But when I booked it, it was kind of like I was waiting to reveal it at the right time.
Okay.
And I texted her, and then we were finally talking about it. But she said like I was so nervous. Like I was so nervous, and I'm like, you're nervous? Like, but it's you. Like, you know, your name is on the marquee. Like you're so amazing. But it's like, you know. But she was like, it's so great to have a familiar face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a genuinely familiar face.
Oh, definitely.
We've seen each other like in classes, in process. So it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you've seen each other, you know, build from the ground up, I guess, like of just as people and as performers, and like, you know, I'm sure that'll happen with some of me and my classmates.
Yes,
in the future.
it definitely will.
That's just kind of the world of musical theater. Like the communities are small, and especially with Asian people, the community is even smaller than just Broadway. And so it's like, you know, we all kind of. Everyone works together with everyone at some point, I'm sure. Like, that's just kind of how it works. So it's so cool to like see just people, you know, supporting other people in this. And like now talking about maybe happy ending. What was the audition process like? We heard, you know, now what you said once you and Helen both had the job, and but just how did you get involved? Like, what was your first like kind of this is a thing that I can audition for? Just
the whole journey it probably started whenever. You know, all of the news outlets announced Helen Jake Shan and Darren Criss on Broadway, like, you know, sometime next year. And I'm like, of course Helen Jake Shan is debuting with Darren Criss. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so fitting. But I also remember thinking, like, I'm never going to be a part of it. Like, I'm on the road. Like, there's no way that, like, I could be a part of something like that. And it seems, I don't even know what this project is. Like, I don't even know what this is. So like I kind of like wrote it off in my mind, like I can't wait to watch it. It never occurred to me that I could be in it. But then I was on tour in Florida. I was in Tampa, Florida, and I helped my friend who was also taping for it, like read for it. And I remember like, oh, this is interesting. Like I was reading Oliver's lines, and I was like, I really resonate with this guy. He's kind of a weirdo, and he doesn't emotionally understand what's going on a lot of the time. Like I vibe with that. Like, and I asked, like, do you know if they're looking? And she's like, you could definitely go look. And I'm like, you know, I call my agent. I'm like, hey, if you can get me into this room, I feel pretty confident. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel that way about 99% of the things I go in for.
No, yeah.
But this was like
right?
Yeah. It's like, but like when you know you're right, when you feel like you're right, when you have a strong opinion, and I had a really strong opinion about it. So, you know, I called them, they got me an appointment 10 minutes later. I taped over like, I took one day to like learn the stuff, and I took the next day to like film it in my hotel room. Like, and it was, they asked us to like prepare some scenes like that are in the show still, but like I had a whole like scene set up. It was like, it was like acting for the camera. But I put some stuff on tape, and then I didn't hear back for a month.
Oh man.
But then...
Did you have a makeshift problem?
What did I have? I think I had like a little stuffed toy who I placed in the corner of the shop, and I'm like looking at them. Yeah. But then I heard back a month later, and they're like, you have the offer.
Oh man! So no callback at all?
No callbacks, and this was the case for a lot of people
in the show. I've heard that with different shows, and like you know, you always hear about like, oh, I did 8 callbacks for this, and then they knew I was right. But sometimes it's just right.
Some shows are so different because like a lot of more, you know, intricacy as far as like choreography and like all these bigger picture things are, you know, needed, like chemistry. But yeah, I don't know. The creative team knew what they wanted, and they had a lot of trust. You know, it was a lot of luck, but it's like so much trust and just like knowing. So I'm indebted that, you know, the timeline worked out in our favor.
Oh my God, I can't believe no callbacks. That's like almost unheard of, especially for Broadway. It's just like you always hear of these long.
I know, so it's like
stressful processes.
So the rehearsal process is like, oh, I have to prove like myself, like why I'm in this room. You know, it's like so a certain amount of pressure is kind of there, but also it's like, like I do deserve to be here, and like I have worked. And, you know, it's all about knowing your worth, but also like being so appreciative of the journey that you're going to go on.
Yeah, and talking about rehearsal, like going into rehearsal, being in a room with a lot of other Asian American actors, what was that like?
Oh man,
and also as like a standby, what was that also like? Like what was the process, I guess, of learning the show for you?
Yeah, excellent question. Well, first of all, working with this amazing cast of predominantly Asian, you know, background, like is amazing. I never thought I would be like, this is all I would have wanted for myself back then. You know, when I was in high school, or even when I was a kid, like just being in that circle. Like I could literally never work on Broadway again. Who knows what will happen? But the fact, fingers crossed. But the fact that I'm in this particular room is so important to me. Like, and it's just. Yeah, it's all I would have ever wanted, you know? And as far as like learning the show alongside the onstage cast members, that's tougher. I had some experience on Les Mis learning Marius, but it's different because I was on stage at that time. So
you got to like watch.
I got to watch, I got to be on the set, I got to physically be in that environment. But it's tough as a standby, not being in that environment every night, not working with the automation. When we have
it's so specific.
It's so specific, and Oliver's, you know, I stand by for Gil and Oliver, but Oliver's physicality is so specific. And, you know, the robotic nature of his, you know, of his character is challenging, but it's kind of something you just have to go, honestly, like you have to do the work outside of the time that you're called. And it's so much just studying, It's like school. It's like you really just have to kind of like look at the text, like think about it, and then rehearse it when you can. You know? Yeah.
And question: has there been any like, what is it called? Like with just a lot of food backstage. That's a question I have.
A lot of food?
Like just sharing between cultures.
You want to know how much food? We like on 2 show days we often go out to like, you know, ramen or dim sum. Jollibee catered some stuff like a week or 2 ago.
I saw your video with Steven with the Jollibee.
Yep, and we're probably gonna have it catered at our secret Santa meeting. So yeah, there's a lot of food back there.
Because I'm like, I've heard it with like the K-pop cast and Here Lies Love with Filipinos. They had it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like wondering if there was like potlucks or just dinners all the time. Because I'm like, when you have a lot of Asian people together, you gotta eat.
You simply got to eat. Yeah. So yes, to answer your question, there's a lot of food. There's a lot of food.
That's good to know. Especially since there is no actual food in the show.
Because they're robots.
Maybe just because they're robots. But maybe they'll discover that later.
Yes.
But do you have a favorite moment in maybe Happy Ending? Just any moment.
I do have a favorite moment. It's also my favorite song. I'm not going to talk about it for spoiler purposes, but there's a particular song that Helen Chen's character Claire is singing. And the writers have talked about it as not a love song, but a song of self-discovery. And just about learning how to kind of adjust your not adjust your personality, but like just kind of grow around a person and grow with a person, not like in spite of your differences, but like to embrace those differences, right? And it's just this beautiful song, kind of in like the middle of the show. And it makes me emotional every time. Just the setting of it all, the way that Helen is singing all over it. Will Will Aronson and Hugh Park's, brilliant writing. It's like all of these elements just come together, and it's like a beautiful moment of genuine connection, but also self-realization.
No, the music in this show, I was blown away because I've been listening to all the music that was like available online, and just like listening to the Korean version.
Yes, that was literally what I did when I got the offer. I was like, "There's no cast recording. How do I study?" Yeah, no, the first time hearing like a couple of those songs today in English was like, just now, crazy.
Like Where You Belong, like or What I Learned from People, like. Those I had not heard the English versions before, and so I didn't even quite understand what was happening. And
when
I
you
even
were
had
listening the first time,
and I even had some of like the Korean sound, like the words in my head, like while it was going on, and just like the differences and how they chose to translate that. It was so fascinating to me. Yeah. To take a show from Korea and then bring it here.
It's genius. It's such genius. Just genius songwriting.
Yeah.
To do it not only in Korean, but to do it so impeccably in English.
And I know they've done it in like Chinese, they've done it in Japanese, I think too. Like, they've done it everywhere.
They have, and it's amazing.
I want to see all of those now.
I do too. I do too.
I need a recording or something.
Yeah.
And so do you have a favorite song that Oliver sings?
Yeah, he has like one solo number in the show, which is awesome. It's like right at the top of the show. But I would say there's a song called "Goodbye My Room" in the middle of the show, and I think it's perfectly delicate, and it's equally like sentimental, but also sad, but also like it's just poignant. Poignant is the most appropriate word for it. I feel like. And that's my favorite part because it gets to the crux of his sentimentality, especially when it's related to the environment that he's been in for so long. And, so that's definitely, I think that is my favorite Oliver song to sing.
No, I just love it all. Like, seriously, I can't wait to listen to the cast recording that's coming out.
Coming out spring! I'm so excited. I can't wait.
You're a part of the show.
And I'm a part of it, but
you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But you also want to hear it.
I also want to hear it, and I'm really. It's been fascinating to see like what the process is to get like a cast album approved, and all the things that have to go into planning.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for when
Broadway's complicated, but
it really is.
We love it. Anyway. And what is it like working with the diva Hwa-boon?
Oh, a lot of people have called him a diva. I haven't experienced that side of him. But I love Hwa-boon. Hwa-boon is a consummate professional.
Yes.
And he's I feel like he's got great stage presence. He has very, very strong opinions about a lot of things. Yeah. But no, he really holds space for everybody, especially the standbys.
Yeah. No, I was hearing someone say that he might be a nepo baby, like.
I heard this too.
Audrey II's maybe like cousin or something.
They're related somehow.
Somehow, I mean.
Yeah,
he likes those plants, those Broadway plants.
He likes to name drop sometimes, but it's fine. It's whatever.
And what do you hope audiences learn from maybe Happy Ending?
I hope they learn what I learned from the show, which is how to give and receive love. That was like a huge thing for me. When we were like at table reads early on, like I was already sobbing in the room before we had added any of these amazing elements that we have on stage now. And I found myself kind of not reassessing, but like really clocking how my relationships in my life, and whether that was like with partnerships or with my parents or my siblings, like I could be doing this differently or better, or I could be more understanding in this. It's really a musical that just kind of opens your heart, and I hope people just like learn something about themselves, as and how they can bring more love to other people, but also like be okay with receiving it too, because I have an anxious avoidant attachment style, so I'm like hyper aware of both ends of the spectrum, and I get what it's like to run from a good thing. So I hope people embrace the good thing after watching.
No, it's definitely hard, and I just think it's so fascinating that with a show that is about robots, that it helps everyone understand something that's human. Yeah. And, like, that's an interesting thing to me, like just to think about, like, with the concept and everything. It's like it's all just so just so powerful,
yeah,
and palpable, and like everyone is feeling something by the end of that show. I'm like, there is no one who is leaving that show not or like touched by the material.
Yeah, and that's been amazing to see.
Yeah,
like, that's
and like, you know, kind of wrapping it up, like, what does representation mean to you? Just I
Oh.
know it's a big question.
No, yeah, but I mean, it's everything to me. Like I was already saying, like this is, you know, this is all I could have dreamed about when I was, you know, when I wanted a career. And, you know, being on a show on tour with not as much Asian representation, but now having like the epitome of it, you know, like the pinnacle of representation, without it being like, oh, it's an Asian show. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it just happens to showcase.
It happens to be Asian.
It happens to be Asian, but like the core of the show is something universal. So I love when representation can do that, and when it doesn't like call attention to itself. I think it's honestly like so much more powerful that way, and speaks to a universality that's, you know, but it also doesn't devalue the fact that yes, it is a really cool, diverse body that's presenting, you know, a certain work. So it's so important. It
is so important. And I think, you know, to meet you and everyone else in this entire company, everyone just seems so grateful to be a part of it and to be experiencing this that maybe not everyone has before. Where it is just such a specific experience that like I'm sure every Asian actor, myself included, like dreams of something like that. And so it's like when you can bear witness or be in those rooms, it's like that's just so powerful for our communities to like just show, especially younger people, younger kids too, that like that it's a possibility, because they need to know it's possible.
Yes, they need to know it's possible
before they can even try to pursue it.
Exactly.
Like, you know, if we didn't see anybody who was like us in anything before we maybe pursued the,
oh my god,
I don't think we would have maybe taken the route.
Yeah, if I didn't have like Conrad Ricamora and Telly Leung, like all these, you know, Leia Salonga, if I didn't have these people, then like it wouldn't have occurred to me. No, it just wouldn't have occurred to me.
Yeah, and like just the things that we're seeing now, and how, you know, there's still so much to go, but like that it's moving forward is so amazing. So I'm so happy about that. And just to wrap up, like how can everyone support you, keeps continuing to support you, like whether it just be like with your own personal projects? Obviously everyone knows about the show, right?
Oh yeah.
So like, you know, hopefully if you get to go on sometime soon, praying, or even just like, you know, supporting you in anything else, like what is the best way to continue to do that?
I would just say like go definitely go see the show. We love when people drop through, but also like just, you know, give me a follow on social media. I love, you know, once I'm past this rehearsal process and learning all of the 2 tracks that I cover, I want to get back to like writing stuff, because I studied that a lot, and just like making content, so and just putting it up on social media just for fun.
You never know what can happen.
You never know. So just give me a follow or say hi if you recognize me on the street or wherever. Like I'm always down to yap. Always down to yap.
Always, yeah. No, but it's been so great getting to chat with you. I know we both have you have to go hang out at the...
Had to go hang out at the Belasco yet again.
Such a hard life, hanging out at the Belasco at the theater.
Oh, gee, But
it's been so much fun getting to talk to you. And thank you to everyone who's listening. And you know, we'll keep talking about maybe happy ending. Hopefully more interviews maybe coming soon.
Oh yeah,
hopefully.
For sure.
So just thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoyed.
Bye.
You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.